The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users, on demand on iTunes and on YouTube, and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. I welcome you to the show. We have a very interesting show today. We have two experts, one an expert on terrorism, another a conservative author who will join us in the second half of the show by the name of Mark Olsen, who will comment on the President of the United States becoming a Nobel Peace Prize winner. He was a finalist 2 weeks into his administration. He did a lot in those 2 weeks, I guess, in the cause of peace, so they say. Before we get to Tim Downs, and I want to give him every minute that he deserves, because we need to exploit him and tap his brain about an area in the fight of terrorism that we have not been focused on, ladies and gentlemen, to our own detriment, unfortunately. I just wanted to ask Boaz, did you hear that Michael Vick is getting a reality TV show?
Yes, I did, in fact.
This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Michael Vick, for those of you who are uninitiated, is the American National Football League quarterback who got caught up in a dogfighting operation on his property in Virginia. He was with the Atlanta Falcons at the time, and he admitted to not only allowing it on his property, but participating. They strung up dogs. It was just horrible. And he served his time, and he came out. There was a big question about whether or not he should even be allowed back into the NFL. I argued no. He's a terrible role model, but they let him back in. Atlanta was through with him, so he went to the Philadelphia Eagles, a team I hate anyway, so it gives me another reason to dislike him.
And, Gary, if I may say, if you remember those two Olympic skaters that competed in the Olympics years ago, and I don't remember their names, where one Olympic skater sent somebody to break the leg of the other Olympic skater.
Yeah, that was Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan.
She got they made a movie for her. I mean, she was convicted, and she made.
Well, there's something wrong with the public, that we go to such salacious kind of entertainment and pay our money. The BET, the Black Entertainment Television Network, is giving Michael Vick a reality TV show. You know, they talk about withholding advertising money from Glenn Beck and from Lou Dobbs and from Don Imus and all that. How about holding money from the Black Entertainment Television, BET, for giving Michael Vick, rewarding him for doing this to poor defenseless dogs? It just disgusts me. Okay, that's that. I just had to get that off my chest before we got into the more serious business of humans. You know, since the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, we've been focusing on a lot of things. There have been a lot of plots that have been broken up. Usually we think about things like airline safety, of course, subway safety, train safety, gatherings of sporting events and so forth. This is the area that we've been focusing on, but what a lot of us don't realize, there's another vulnerability. It's called agro-terrorism. It gets very little attention. A single attack on U.S. farms, think about this for a moment, A single attack on farms in the United States could instantly contaminate the nation's food supply. It could affect millions of Americans. Well, joining us today on News Talk Online on the Paltalk News Network to discuss this threat is Tim Downs. Tim is a terrorism expert, author of the newly released book, Ends of the Earth, which actually explores such a scenario. Tim, welcome to News Talk Online on the Paltalk News Network.
Thanks, Gary. Good to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you with me. Tim, this is a real scenario that the CIA and the FBI and the other organizations are really looking at right now?
Yeah, it's more the FDA and the Department of Agriculture that takes care of food contamination in our country, but they're well aware of the possibility of agro-terrorism. The problem is you can install a metal detector to protect an airport, but how do you keep somebody out of a 1,000-acre cornfield?
Excuse me, you said the FDA?
The FDA and the Department of Agriculture, they team up to protect our country against food contamination.
Yeah, no, I heard you, but I said, you said the FDA and the Ag Department, the very people who can't keep they can't track down salmonella poisoning? The same people that allow for contaminated food to come up from Mexico because it's the food is irrigated with with wastewater from the so-called wastewater treatment plants there, and then we put that stuff in our mouths. This is the same people that we're on the front line of defense on this.
That's exactly the problem, Gary. It's the sheer volume of food that we're talking about here. This year, U.S. farmers planted 87 million acres of corn, and that's just corn. We've got wheat and barley and rice and all these other grains. Just imagine the problem in trying to secure this. It is not a difficult thing for somebody to release a pathogen in our fields that could contaminate our food on a widespread basis. And the reason, the motive to do it would be economic in nature. Terrorism experts say that warfare in the 21st century will be economic rather than military.
Well, I am old enough, and I don't know whether you are, to remember the Tylenol tampering case, which resulted in them repackaging. They took every single bottle of Tylenol off the shelves because of a couple of cases of tampering. And they didn't put them back on the shelves until they had developed tamper-proof bottles. So today, that's why if you're old and arthritic and you need your meds, you can't get the damn bottle open. That's the reason why you can't get the bottle open, to protect the rest of us from somebody. They never caught whoever was responsible for that, did they?
No, and that just indicates how easy it is to shake the confidence of buyers and to cost somebody a whole lot of money. Several years ago, the U.S. Embassy in Chile got phone calls from just some anonymous strangers saying that grapes headed for the U.S. were laced with cyanide. It wasn't even true. But they had to detain and test all these shipments of grapes, and in the end, they estimated that grape growers and exporters in Chile lost over $300 million from just a couple of phone calls. That's a pretty effective weapon.
And, you know, my question actually begs the question. I have to kind of slap myself as a result of that.